Welcome to NC Political Tea, the show where North Carolina's political scene gets served piping hot, grassroots style. We're here to shake up the status quo with unapologetically conservative takes and a whole lot of Southern charm. From the halls of Congress to under the dome, we're exposing the deals, the drama, and the dirt that the mainstream media won't touch. Who's fighting for your freedom? Who's selling out to the woke mob? And who's about to get roasted? No fluff, no filters, and absolutely no time for spineless politics. Just bold Republican commentary, sharp analysis, and enough sass to make the left squirm. So grab your sweet tea or something stronger, and let's dive into the hottest headlines and juiciest scandals rocking the Tar Heel state. This is NC Political Tea, where the truth always gets served.
I pulled a surprise on you. I didn't do an opening video. How are you?
Then you saw me looking down for about...
I'm so glad you caught it. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Do you see my Hanukkah decorations, everyone?
I do. Happy Hanukkah.
Well, next week, but thank you. Just getting all ready, getting all set. And
I
before
won't
we
be
get
here
on,
next week, so
you're not going to be here. We're going to have a special host, and it's going to be Robert Burns, the mayor of Monroe for now. He'll be on. Brian Echevarria will be on Thursday, so you'll be missed.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm going to take some well-needed time off.
Very good. I'm excited. Very excited for you.
Too.
I miss you, but I'm excited.
Well,
I'm excited.
We all have to get out of the state every once in a while.
That's the damn truth.
It's so crazy here. The things that have been going on between the schools and the light rail and just the hippies in Asheville, I don't know.
Well, we had something very serious happen at about 11 a.m. this morning. So I'm going to play the sheriff of Winston-Salem, Forsyth County Schools. It's a national story, and it should be. We had a child stabbed to death today in a high school. So
Malo para el condado de Forsyth.
At approximately 11:04 a.m. this morning, our SRO sent out a communication.
Aproximada a las 11:04 de la mañana, los oficiales mandaron un anuncio
That he needed all hands on deck. We responded to North Forsyth High School.
que necesitaban
Upon
toda
arrival,
la ayuda
we responded to an altercation between two students.
en North Forsyth, la escuela, entre una
Doing
pelea
this-
entre dos estudiantes.
During this occasion, the altercation, there was a loss of life.
En esta pelea hubo
So the SROs were there, but they could not respond quickly enough. And SROs, for you guys that don't know, they're school resource officers in North Carolina. They come from the sheriff's office. And these are programs that the Democrats have constantly, year after year, tried to dismantle.
Well, I think the saddest part, I don't know if you saw the rest of that clip, but one of the deputies comes up and says, listen, I'm not saying this to make anybody upset, but we have to recognize the violence in this community, and we have to do something about it. And that's just, if you really understand what happened, a child was murdered by another child over a vape pen in a bathroom.
This was the altercation. I mean, we've seen these before. We know that boys fight, girls fight for that matter, in the bathroom. And then here, this student, you can see right there, brought more than his fist.
He's holding
Brought more than his fist. Yeah. And it really, what impresses upon me, these are children. So I'm going to put up an interview with a child that has been going to school with the deceased other child since elementary school, but he actually says he's got the right idea about what the solutions are, which is rare.
Knew all growing up, you were in classes. I mean, how does that feel that this is something that happens so close to you?
it just hurts. I don't know other way to put it. It hurts, really, knowing that one people I can really go to, like, yo, what's up? Like, how you been? He gone now. Like, that's crazy. We kind of think about, because we still kids, to be honest with you. We
Yep.
really is still kids. It's just really, like, crazy to think about.
Well, in your experience at North Forsyth so far, would you ever have expected something like this to happen?
No, not at all. Never. Never would have came to my mind.
Well, and what has been your primary focus? You said you're just kids, and, you know, what is the day-to-day typically like for you? I mean, it's school, athletics, things like that. Just knowing that this violence could occur, I mean, what are you hoping that the community takes from this, that this is impacting young people like yourselves?
I really just hope that, like, we can start doing right. Most starts with parents, to be honest with you. We could just start teaching our kids right from this. Yep. This would be really, we could really avoid this. It was just bad things happen throughout, though. I just hope and pray that everybody can teach their kids right from wrong.
Okay, he's going to make a good father because he understands that this starts in the home.
Yeah. It's also kind of a poignant statement about some parents, and I don't know these parents, and I don't want to judge them, but, you know, that is a sad thing when a student who knows these kids would say something like that on a television show that could be seen nationally.
We probably know, I mean, no one knows these young men better, I imagine, than, you know.
Their schoolmates.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
well,
yeah, that's terrible. And I just pulled up our outline for tonight, and it looks like you have edited the hell out of it.
Stuff.
You made a lot of edits. So I'll be honest with you, I am going to be flying blind a little bit here. We had another stabbing on the CATS system. So for those of you that are in North Carolina, you know, that's the transit system here in Charlotte. You remember Irina Zaruska. It's been coming up on now 5 months ago. And like with Irina Zaruska, there was no security at all. There was supposed to be security. And this is a former deportee, an illegal, stabbed a man almost to death. But here's that story.
And a lot of these cases could be prevented, right? And you look at a lot of sanctuary jurisdictions where we see repeat offenders time and time again being re-released after a local law enforcement agency arrested them because they are a danger to, you know, society, to the neighborhoods, yet they re-release them back onto the street. And they continue to not work with us just based for political reasons. ICE is just a law enforcement agency that wants to keep people safe. And that's the key goal with this. And if you look at this individual, under the first Trump administration, he was deported in 2018. Wow. He came back. We prosecuted him again in 2021. Wow. But he snuck through the porous borders from the last administration. And we have to ensure that these local jurisdictions work with ICE so we can prevent these tragedies.
Now, remember,
those local jurisdictions.
Democrats were up in arms and still are that ICE was in Charlotte getting criminals out. They missed this guy.
Yeah. Well, and they've missed more than that guy. We all know that. I think what I found most interesting was, first of all, the guy that saved the young lady or the woman, his hero. He's got a GoFundMe, and if you haven't seen it, I'll find it, and you can absolutely find it on my. There you go. He deserves a GoFundMe to get in the middle of it and just try to save people.
What did he do?
He got between the guy with the knife and an older lady to avoid her getting slashed, which is what put him in the hospital, because he's a decent human being. That's what he did.
He's got a GoFundMe. I'm going to retweet that in a little bit. But this guy, this scumbag who was arrested for stabbing a man, was drunk, etc. Another one who was arrested and classified as a white dude.
Well, it depends on how classifications are done at that level. Sometimes they don't have a Hispanic mark. I don't know how it's done. I do think it's very interesting that we continue to see this, and Matt continues to point it out. And it doesn't seem like that's something that's been addressed, which needs to be. But the bigger issue that needs to be addressed is, what are they doing about the safety on that light rail? Because
there is Hispanic. He was classified as Hispanic, and it was changed.
Good. What are they doing about that light rail? They just got $3.2 million. Where's the safety? Where's the law enforcement?
Well, they're spending, forgive me if I get this incorrect, I think about $3 million on a new advertisement program throughout the city to portray the light rail as a calm, peaceful, viable piece of, transportation throughout the city, when in fact it spreads violent crime throughout the city.
But and that's well known in studies, Sloan. When I lived in Atlanta, that, and I still work in Atlanta. One of the biggest studies, and the reason why Cobb County refused to move MARTA into Cobb County was because they knew that it brought crime. So areas that took the rail system MARTA into the area saw an increase in crime. And what turned it around was when Atlanta realized they needed their own MARTA police and that they would have police stations on the rail. It completely changed everything in Atlanta. What's sad to me is Charlotte is very close to Atlanta, right off the same highway. And they obviously could go there and say, this is a good rail line. Help us. How did you do this? Tell us what happened to get you where you're at.
Well, they don't care, and there's no indication that the voters care, because the Democrats won again in a landslide, even after the Irina Zaruska affair. In fact, we lost seats. Republicans lost seats on the city council. So, you get what you vote for.
Well, you do, but listen, there's elections coming up that could have some significant consequences. A new DA, a new sheriff, new judges. Yeah. Those seats really, really matter. And if crime is an issue for you, obviously you don't care about your city council, where they spend the money you give them. You should at least care about your family and your self-safety and get a good sheriff, because the one they have is an idiot. He's just a retard. He's got more internal strife and internal. Gary McFadden, who went out there, by the way, in an interview and said, oh man, with this guy, oh man, you don't know how hard the magistrates have it. So he's crying poor mouth on his own staff when a man lays in the hospital still recovering. As I understand it, he was clinging to life. And McFadden is going to run again.
Yeah. Well, he's got a lot. Judges, DA. So, Suze, we've got another bite at the apple, is what we're saying here. So the fact that, you had, and the turnout, I must admit, was decent in Charlotte. So, citizens have another chance to be safe, and that's going to be in the midterm elections when DAs and sheriffs are up, and we will.
And judges. If I could say one, the biggest thing is we are at an impasse, or a place where we really need help in the North Carolina Supreme Court. Anita Earls is a radical. The reason all this stuff is going on in Charlotte is because of her, Josh Stein, and Roy Cooper, and that inequitable justice BS that they tried to sow throughout Charlotte and Greensboro and Raleigh. And so if we don't get good judicial candidates elected, like Sarah Stevens and others, we're in trouble.
Appeals court judges too matter.
Absolutely.
And so we'll be, talking about that as well as we go on. So this is another one. I'm sick of the nonsense and zero accountability. Yeah, I am. And it's insane. And it's very upsetting, quite frankly, to watch an election go to the Democrats again right after this. But anyway, this is now read the title. Chandler Man.
Chandler, we call it Chandler.
Chandler. Okay, Chandler. Right. This is up by you, right, in Asheville. Yeah. A Chandler Man. Okay. Felony hit and run. Death by vehicle. What does it else it say? All kinds of stuff. Whoops. Well, that's
drunk. Driving drunk.
Okay. Shit-faced, really.
Right.
He was an illegal. This is another death.
Hit a woman and killed her.
By an illegal that we constantly are dealing with. And this is the man right here. Killed 33 years old. Killed by an illegal. So remember, let me compose myself. If we lose, the House and the Senate here in North Carolina, the General Assembly, so your state representative, etc. The Democrats already have three bills that would prevent illegals from being gotten in certain places, churches, hospitals, farms. Yeah. So we have a lot on the line. I mean, I'm tense. I'm very tense about this. We have got to get everyone out. This is a make or break election.
Well, and I think you should point out, or if you haven't seen it, the Democrat chair, Anderson Clayton, actually said today that they are targeting all state offices. They are not worried about the congressional races. They're targeting the North Carolina State Supreme Court. They're targeting all the representatives and the Senate. That is their target. Now you know what they're doing, and you know what we have to do to combat that.
And you know what will happen if, God forbid, the control of the General Assembly falls to the Democrats here in North Carolina. Lives literally are at stake, and it's not hyperbole. So on a lighter note, I thought this was really, really cool. The White House made a little video of our boys, of our representatives up in D.C. when they were up there. And I wanted to show you that. And they tweeted it out and tweeted everybody's names. I thought it was pretty cool. Here's a little, I think it's like a love note to Trump, but of the good things that he has done. And he's done too many to count at this point.
Donald Trump for the working family tax cuts.
Thank you, President Trump, for the working families tax cut.
Working class families getting tax cuts and help with everyday things is a common sense thing to do.
It's really important as well that we cut down on waste, fraud, and abuse.
We'll make sure that North Carolinians keep more money in their pockets.
I also want to tell you, I love you, President Trump. My family loves you. You're the greatest president of my lifetime. You got that dog in you. Thank you for not quitting on us. God bless you. Let's make America great again.
That is awesome. You got that dog in you. Brian will be here. He will be here on Thursday night. So, and we'll talk more about that, and actually more about the property tax plan that he has. I think we'll save that story for then. But it was good to see. I mean, look, Trump's done a lot of very good things, obviously, to get our economy back on track.
Yeah, I think that he has. And I think that the Speaker of the House in North Carolina has taken the message to heart. He's trying to find ways to accommodate, one being that we redistricted already. So I think that their trickle-down effect of the Trump effect is a big deal. Also, I don't know if anybody knows it, but Susie Wiles actually did an interview, and she basically said, you will see Donald Trump on the election trail everywhere in 2026. So let's get ready, because he'll be in North Carolina.
Oh, he'll definitely be in North Carolina. I mean, North Carolina is one of his favorite states. It's practically his second home when he's on the trail. So we'll be seeing him, and hopefully only him and not his partner in the White House. But anyway, so a lot is going on in NASCAR. And if you don't know NASCAR, I mean, I can't help you. Suze, by the way, the school was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
North Forsyth High School.
Mm-hmm. NASCAR is a big deal. So I'm going to show this video about kind of breaking it down a little bit. We're no experts. Margo, you're more of an expert in this than I am, but we're going to be bringing on an expert, a former NASCAR team owner, to really break it down. But here's kind of what's going on so far.
He rights the ship and makes the France family have to treat people equal. It's always been Bill France and the France's way. If you don't like it, get the fuck out. And now we're getting emails and letters and things like that about them talking about, one of the royalties of Richard Childress. Is it going to take Michael Jordan to unearth all this? And how do you see this going?
Man, it's ugly. It's disappointing to see that NASCAR thinks very little of. Here, I told Kenny Schrader yesterday, you got the Wood brothers who are number one, and then you got Richard Childress. You see, hear NASCAR talk like that about the man that owned a Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s car and took him to 7 championships. It's like, oh my God, they hate us all.
Kenny, like if you were to give me layman terms for the average guy that just knows that Michael Jordan is in a big-time lawsuit with NASCAR, what are they fighting about? Are they fighting about charters being permanent? Are they fighting about payouts to the drivers?
I'm going to dumb it down. NASCAR came to them and said, you all got one last night to sign this document. And if you don't sign it, you're out. And it pissed Michael Jordan off. He goes, I'm not signing it. And then he says, for the most part, you're a monopoly. You're telling us if we don't sign this, then we can't be with you all. So he got mad. They're suing them over that, and they're suing them that NASCAR gets $1 billion a year in TV, and they don't feel like the teams are being treated right. It's those two things.
Okay, so to break all this down, we have a very special guest, Butch Cons. Hey, Butch.
Hey, ladies, how are you?
Doing great.
So Butch, first explain to everybody who you are and how you fit in the NASCAR world.
Well, I came down from Michigan in 2004 to start a NASCAR Busch team, which is now the Xfinity Series. I then moved and partnered up with Bobby Daughter in the Truck Series the year after that, and I was in it for 8 years before I got out of it, and I might be going back into it again. We'll wait and see.
And you also come from a family of folks that your grandfather.
I do. My grandfather was one of the original racers and some of the money behind ARCA when they first started in 1953. ARCA, if anybody knows, is kind of like the little brother to NASCAR. They run the same cars as the Cup. Well, they used to. Now they run the same cars as the Xfinity. My grandfather's very first race car was a Hudson Hornet before I was born. So that tells you how far back it goes. And then after that, my brother and I both drove, and we drove an ARCA, and then I came down here and started the NASCAR team.
And your claim to fame is you brought politics to race cars.
I did. What brought me down here was Betsy DeVos, Trump's education head, the first time he was president. She was the chair of the Republican Party of Michigan at the time. Her and her husband owned the Orlando Magic NBA team, and they also owned Amway. And she was also the head of getting Bush Cheney reelected. And long story short, I was asked to start a team and put Bush Cheney on the hood at Daytona.
So they were
that was my first race as an owner.
That's cool.
First race as an owner.
Yeah. Okay. So tell us what's really going on in NASCAR. Like, break it down.
Probably something, in my opinion, that should have happened 25 years ago. Okay. NASCAR has become a complete monopoly, and that's what Michael in Front Row Motorsports and Michael Jordan are calling them out on. Okay. And they've got a legitimate gripe. All right. The one problem they have in their argument against NASCAR is NASCAR is not publicly traded. NASCAR is a privately owned corporation. Okay. Well, it makes it a little bit hard to claim a company is being a monopoly if they're a privately owned corporation. And it's always been a big joke that NASCAR is the Southern Mafia or the Dixie Mafia. It's my ball and my bat, and if you don't like it, go home. All right. And that's kind of been their attitude forever with this thing. And over the years, as it stepped down generation to generation, Bill France Sr. was awesome. Bill France Jr. was awesome. When it got to Bill Jr.'s son, Brian was a disaster, and he was greedy. And it hasn't stopped since. And NASCAR has just gotten more greedy and more greedy and more greedy. They try to tell you, who you can have for sponsors. You got to get their permission for the sponsorship. I know of situations, and I'll explain this one in a minute, where they steal sponsors from teams. Okay. As you can see, I have a Revolution Oil shirt on. I own Revolution Oil. And in 2006, we ran Revolution Oil on our truck at Michigan. And the next week, I get a call from a representative of NASCAR trying to talk me out of leaving the team that we're sponsoring and to come on and sponsor a race like Atlanta or Charlotte and become the race sponsor. So I let the guy talk for, I don't know, probably 15, 20 minutes. And then I told him who I was and that I own that team and that I own Revolution Oil. And don't ever, and I won't use the language I use, but don't ever call me again. And that's personal experience with them trying to steal sponsors. And if you think about it, McDonald's was always on a car. All of a sudden, McDonald's wasn't on a car, and they were sponsoring a couple races a year. And this is how they get greedy. Okay, they have what's called a one source supplier. All right. And this is another thing that Michael's arguing about. And he's got a legitimate, that group has a legitimate argument. What a one source supplier is NASCAR's buddies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ever look at the front, no matter what the top three series, whether it's Cup or it's Xfinity or it's Truck, you see on the front quarter panels all those little stickers.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have to put them on your car. They give you a diagram of where it has to go on the car. Depending on the series, there's 20 to 30 stickers. And most of the time, especially on the Cup side, they get $1 million per sticker. Goodyear over the tires, $1 million. Meadowbrook, $1 million.
Okay.
And Sunoco, $1 million, and so forth. Okay. And you cannot, and I'll give you a perfect example. My first race in 2004 at Daytona, at that time is when they ran a shorter wheelbase than Cup, the Xfinity cars or push cars. And it made them a little, in the draft at Daytona at 200 miles an hour, it made them a little loose. Okay. So they came up with this bright idea of what we called taxi cab strips. And they were about yay wide, about an inch wide, an inch high. And they were L shaped. And they faced in, and one went on the right side of the roof, and one went on the other side of the roof. Well, first of all, it made the car more unstable than it did stable. So their idea right out of the box screwed up. Everybody had to slow down because you couldn't control the car. Okay. We had to buy those strips from Richardson Racing Supply, which is one of their buddies, for $475 a piece. And we had to get two. I could have made both of them in our shop for $10.
Okay.
But we weren't allowed.
So we got the premise that they are very controlling. Why is Richard Childers so mad?
Well, speaking of politics, I have to tell you, Childers is a major donor to Trump. He is a major donor to the GOP. So those of you, that it's very connected. So when you say, Childers, you may not know him for NASCAR, which would be really weird, but you would know him because that's part of the big donor base, right?
Well, we're going to get in the political side. And that's why I asked who is Richard Childers and why is he so mad? And then we'll talk about what's changed in NASCAR.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to the political side for a minute. I know where we're going here, Margo. When I came down here, I had Bush Cheney reelection on the hood. And at Daytona, we were the belle of the ball. Every media was around us. NASCAR loved us. And this is still when the Francis were running the show. Okay. Since then, the guy who runs the show now used to work for the Clinton Foundation.
Jesus.
So now we're not allowed to have politics on the car. We're not, they have limit, again, back to controlling who we can get as sponsors. They have limited us. Okay. So we can't have, and by the way, Phelps is the guy, Steve Phelps is the guy running from the Clinton Foundation. You're not allowed, back in the day, you weren't allowed liquor. Now you're not allowed liquor, but now you're not allowed politics. I was the one who started the politics of NASCAR. After I did it, you saw Trump on the car. You saw people running for Congress, people running for Senate, depending on what state you were in. Not allowed to do that anymore. Okay. And the reason why is because the majority of NASCAR and the NASCAR fan base is conservative. Now we got a lib sitting at the top of NASCAR. So all of a sudden you can't do it anymore. Okay. And they've gotten it, like most liberals, they've gotten more greedy.
Is that why the Bubba Wallace thing became such a brouhaha? That really pissed me off.
All right. I got to be careful how I say this, Sloan. I do have to be politically correct here. I can approach this two ways. Number one, and I'm just going to call it what it is. The Southern redneck built NASCAR. The Southern redneck made NASCAR billions of dollars with a cigarette sponsorship up until 2004. Okay. The Southern NASCAR could afford to take, back in the day, they could take a family of four for $100 to a race, a cup race.
Yeah.
They were allowed to bring their coolers in with sandwiches and beer and whatever, as long as there was no glass. It had to be in cans. Okay. And it worked for them. And it built NASCAR. And you couldn't get a seat at the race. I don't know if you ladies remember back when every time you seen a race on TV, it was standing room only. I don't care where it was in the country. Okay. That has went by the wayside because NASCAR decided they wanted to be fancy like Indy and Formula One. So they started overpricing the tickets, pushing the rednecks out, trying to get, the caviar and cheese people in NASCAR. Now they make all their money on TV. And you could, even at a cup race, other than Daytona 500, you could take a bomb and throw it down the middle of the grandstands and nobody would get hurt when it went off. Okay. Well, that's what's happened. That's NASCAR now. All right. Everything has become TV. They have forgotten where they came from. And that's part of the big problem. Now, what they've done to, and this is, and I did when I was asked to come on tonight, I did a little research and I even found out something I didn't know. Okay. Half the tracks are owned by NASCAR, Daytona, I'm thinking out loud here, Michigan, and so forth. Okay. Half the tracks that they run at. The other half of the tracks are owned by Speedway Motorsports, which is owned by the Smith family. I don't know if you guys remember Bruton Smith.
Yep.
Okay, he's dead now, but his son Marcus now runs it. I found out that in 2006, to keep from going public, they needed money to expand. NASCAR sold the Smith family 33% of NASCAR. So when you hear the interviews like you played, Sloan, before I came on, about how the France family, has done this for so many years, it's not just the France family anymore. Since 2006, it's the France and Smith families. And the Smiths own the other half of the tracks. They own Charlotte. They own Texas Motor Speedway. They own Richmond. They own Bristol. They own Atlanta. So what they've done is they've monopolized together, and they own all the tracks. Okay. And so then
you got a pay to play scheme is what you're talking about, whether it's the fees and the vendors and the this and then that. If you want, if you want to be in this, you want to play. And now I'm thinking about the PGA and the Live Golf brouhaha, if you recall that. And I don't know if PGA is public, so you made a very good point, but that was kind of the same, except there is no Live Golf in your instance. So what you're saying is the tracks, the infrastructure is owned already, right? It's so tight and it's so owned. If there were to be another entrant, which would be like a Live or whatever, and would pull drivers away, right? That would be interesting.
Kind of like what Indy did about 20 years ago.
Yeah, kind of interesting, cost prohibitive. I mean, the barrier to compete would be huge because you would need
unless you had Michael Jordan on your side.
Right. But that would be, I mean, if you had your fantasy of doing it, you would build like 5 or 6 tracks, because I didn't really know how that was going. Then you put together another, I don't know if you call it series or whatever it is.
Another series.
Okay.
But Sloan, here's where the problem, and Margo, we are going to get back to you, Richard Childress' question, because that's important. But Sloan, here's where the other problems came in, okay? Right after that, in 2000, and I've got the dates. I actually wrote them down here, ladies. Speedway Motorsports was publicly traded under TRK. That was their symbol, okay? They went private. The team charter started in 2016. Suddenly in 2019, they went private, and Bruton Smith bought all the stock back from the stockholders through Sonic Financial. Okay? Sonic Financial is owned by Sonic Automotive, which is where Bruton Smith and the Smith family made all their money.
Oh, wow.
To this day.
So self-dealing, except for it's a private private. And so you're all the things that you would have to do to have integrity, right, in a a publicly traded company, you don't have those same thresholds. And in fact, you don't have the same investigatory process to uncover whether they're self-dealing or not. And so,
but
yeah.
here's the one opening where they, if anybody digs deep enough, and I don't know if I would hope the lawyers have dug this deep, is in 2006 they got a third of NASCAR. Okay, at that point, the major stockholder in NASCAR, who was holding the NASCAR position, was a publicly traded company for 10 years. Okay, that could open the door. It'd make it easier for Front Row Motorsports and 2311X, which is Michael Jordan's team, to claim the monopoly. Okay, it was a while back, but since then, what NASCAR has done is they went in. Let me give you the exact dates.
Doesn't matter the dates. It doesn't matter, Butch.
Yeah, we're not.
They went and bought up ARCA, which was probably their closest competitor. Run the same cars as Xfinity does now, but back then as Cup did. Same exact cars. I know, I drove them. Okay.
And so what you're talking about.
So they eliminated. Well, they eliminated that competition. The last competition that they eliminated, and this is really interesting, is a car called the ZMAC Cars Tour Series. In 2011, it used to be the Hooters Cup. Okay. And when they lost Hooters in 2011, 2012, they became the Revolution Oil Cup. I've sponsored them for 2 years. Okay. Jack McNeely at the time owned them. Kevin Harvick, Justin Marks, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Jeff Burton, all big names in NASCAR. In 2023, they bought out cars, and it became the ZMAX Cars Tour. Guess who owns ZMAX? Marcus Smith.
Bruton's son.
So they've now cornered that competition.
Yeah.
They have ARCA. They have ARCA North, South.
Are they
West
friends with Michael Jordan? Are they on the Michael Jordan side, or are they on the NASCAR side? Where are they fitting in?
On the NASCAR side. They're on the NASCAR side because ZMAX is sponsoring their series.
Okay. So now tell us why Richard Childress is upset.
Because Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell, who I don't know Phelps personally, I know O'Donnell personally, and my opinion is he's a dweeb. Okay. My very first race as an owner, I went toe-to-toe with him at Daytona. And that's a different story. But
for a different day.
They got caught, and somehow it became public. Their emails going back and forth, just ripping on NASCAR owners, but especially Richard Childress. And at one point, and this is my understanding on it, they called him a stupid redneck. Okay. But that wasn't what upset him. My understanding, what upset him is that they were going to take him out. They should take him out back and flog him. Not kick his ass, flog him.
What is flogging, by the way?
If they would kick his ass, he probably would have been fine.
Yeah.
What does flogging mean? Just beating the shit out of somebody? That's what I thought it meant.
With a belt or a stick or something. Yeah.
Well, it's Jesus was flogged.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And that's why Richard's pissed, and I'm going to.
By the way, I don't like it when people beat Jews, so that makes me mad too.
Anyway,
I can see that.
That makes me mad, Butch.
No, it's and the thing is Richard's a really good guy.
Yeah, he is.
But he's one of the guys that actually helped build NASCAR. He was a team owner for Dale Sr. He won 7 championships with Dale. They are part of what built NASCAR. And for these clowns that now sit in the front office of NASCAR and they rip on owners like Richard Childress, don't be surprised if in the very near future, maybe before Daytona, if Richard Childress doesn't sue NASCAR and Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell personally.
So what do you think the chances are that Michael Jordan can win this case?
I think it's 50-50. Okay, I think the best thing that NASCAR has going for them is that they are a privately owned company, unless their lawyers can open the door and go back to when the Smiths got involved. And the Smiths company, Speedway Motorsports, that bought the 33% at the time, was publicly traded and stayed that way for 10 years before they became private. That is one way to get around it, but I think that is NASCAR's biggest argument. Okay. What I can see happening is that I can see NASCAR possibly being forced to sell off different series, sell the ARCA West, sell the Xfinity series, sell the truck series, that kind of thing.
Well, you know what's
they
so
own many more series than people realize.
We have legend. We're talking about like Michael Jordan
is a
legend, right?
Especially in North Carolina.
Legend, Childress, and you've got, I mean, that's why this story, even if you were not, in North Carolina, it's so interesting because you've got all the Clash of the Titans, really.
Yeah. And you don't pick on the homeboys. I'm sorry. It's, we kind of want to root for the underdog, Michael Jordan and Richard Childress, because they built different sports and they represent our state in a way that these clowns that are not from North Carolina, who've come down here and changed the entire atmosphere and the feel of NASCAR. Also, just one thing, Butch and I talked about this earlier. The Phelps guy and the other guy, O'Donnell. The other thing they did is they truly made fun of these teams' owners by shoving it in their face that we're giving you a 1996 kind of deal and you're going to take it because that's all you're getting. And you just don't do that to North Carolinians. We don't take that very well.
Yeah. Let me give you an example of when I came down as an owner.
We got this last one. We're running low on time, Butch.
And by the way, we love you, Butch. You ain't from around here. You're a Michigander. We're North Carolinians, but we'll let it slide because you're in NASCAR.
It's not the first time
I've been here for 22 years, so I think I'm a North Carolinian now.
Yeah, we'll let you slide.
Yeah,
hold your story.
Like I say, I think there's a good chance that Michael and them can really shake things up. And I think you may see in the long run, you may see NASCAR forced to sell off some of their different series and stuff. Obviously, they're not going to sell Cup because that's their bread and butter, but they may be forced to sell off some of the stuff.
It's certainly interesting. Like, Dale Earnhardt Jr. hasn't really spoken out. So some of these people are keeping their mouth shut because they know what's going on and they have to. But it's also interesting to see Michael Jordan say, I don't really care. I'm going to say what I need to say.
Well, here's the other interesting part, okay? The majority of the owners in NASCAR are conservative.
Yeah.
Okay. Dale's not. Dale's a liberal.
Yeah.
Junior. I like Dale, but he's liberal. Okay. But the high majority
including Michael Jordan.
Well, Junior didn't get along with Dad. Junior didn't get along with Senior. And when you're dad and you don't get along, your politics is going to be the opposite.
Yeah.
Correct. If the drivers, I don't want to say the drivers, if the teams stuck together and said to NASCAR, I've shown up at Daytona. Go jump in the lake. We're not showing up at Atlanta. Now what's NASCAR going to do? I know as part of the TV program, and the way I know this is because I was actually involved before I became an owner when I was an ARCA driver. They had a race in Atlanta, and they were 9 cars short.
Wow.
Back then, they had to start 43 cars. So they called 9 of us from ARCA because we ran the same cars, okay? And they asked us to come to Atlanta. They would pay our way. They would pay our tires. They would pay our engines. If we would just, and they didn't care if we ran 2 laps and got off the track, okay? They had to put 43 cars on the track as part of their TV package. Otherwise, they got hit big time from the TV package. Like, for every car that wasn't there, they lost $500,000 or something. So that's why now you only see 36 in the truck series, 40 in the Cup series, and believe it or not, the Xfinity series is still 43. So,
well, Butch, thank you
but
for
that's
coming
why.
on and for
Yep.
all that you brought.
Yeah.
It's been valuable. We appreciate you. If you don't know Butch, he's on X. You can follow him on X, and we really do appreciate the time that you've given us.
Ladies, have fun tonight, and thanks for having me. And maybe we do this again.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Butch.
Talk to you
Bye-bye.
soon. Thanks. Bye.
That was really interesting. I mean, he knows everything. I've
Inside
got
and out.
much better understanding now of the NASCAR battle, and it is a Clash of Titans. We're going to be following it. I don't know anyone else is following it, so I'm just going to say this. I'm going to be gender rolled right now for two women covering this. Yay us! Pat on the back. Seriously.
Listen, my family wasn't NASCAR driven. We didn't, no pun intended. We weren't into that, but it is a part of our history. And I did grow up with the Petty family. I knew them personally, and I knew them as friends, not as drivers. And this means a lot to our state. It just does.
Yeah, it absolutely does. So we're going to transition into something that we're not as proud of in North Carolina. We've been under fire, but for the first time, we've had Republicans in the House really standing up for us here in the state of North Carolina. And we're going to bring on Eric Stevenson as well. So check this out.
This is Santa Claus. This is Santa Claus' husband, Mr. Claus. They are married. And as long as there is a Santa Claus, he will have a man waiting at home who loves him.
The way, the truth,
Also,
and the life.
Santa's husband's name is David.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
Exactly where that book belongs.
Okay, Eric, this is what they're reading in North Carolina schools. Gay Black Santa.
Interesting choice of color. Interesting choice of gender. Some would say there is an agenda to demasculate the black man, throughout the world. I leave that for other people to decide. But when I see books like this, I don't think those were chosen by accident. Why wasn't it two Caucasian female Miss Santas or whatever? It's interesting that you chose a black male, to be gay. And it's not the gay part. Why do we want to teach our children anything about sexuality or anything?
Well,
What's the fascination with that?
It's a Christian holiday. And the funny thing is that I didn't get that far, but the black Santa's husband, his name was David. He could have been married to a damn Jewish guy.
I don't think that's by accident either. And that it's a really, really good cartoon out. David, have y'all seen any of those commercials? I mean, it's it's based on the Bible. David, and Goliath,
David and Goliath.
Yeah, so that's a pretty cool movie that's out right now. And I hadn't even seen it yet, but I heard good things about it. But it's not an accident that those things were chosen: gender, race. It's not an accident in elementary schools, right? Why not make this book for high school? Why not make this book for high school, right? If this book is for high school,
why do they need to read any of that at all?
I'm trying to meet them halfway, right? The politician in me, I'm trying to meet you halfway. If you're going to write this book, write it for the seniors in high school, right?
Write it for a grown-ass man. And by the way, you would sell 2 of them, but they know that they can sell it to these woke buyers at these library systems and sell, 200,000 across the nation. And that's what they're doing. By the way, are you going to the hearing tomorrow?
I have plans to, but I gotta be careful when I say I'm gonna be somewhere. I'm nobody be looking for me.
I'll be there. Well, I'm only going to go if you're going to go. So there's a hearing. I love the way that Brendan Jones, we've had him on before. He's the Republican House majority leader, and he's been trolling the hell out of Chapel Hill Carrboro schools. He's going to have them in for a hearing, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. But he's put up, third graders, by the way, third graders are reading about a damn gay black Santa and a white. I mean, why, and it begs the question, why not make them the same? I mean, yeah, try to hit all the high notes. I mean, they're really.
That's what I'm saying. Nothing is done by accident. Every choice that was made was on purpose.
You got me thinking.
It's not. I don't believe anything is by accident.
I agree.
Not with the left. Not with the left.
Because you can have one book that does all these things, right? Hey, we're going to demasculate the black man. Boom, we took care of that. We're going to attack a Christian holiday. Boom, we might throw in a name like David that might spark, another group. Sure. We're going to make money by selling this book to the school system, to our friends, and we'll let our liberal schools, bid on it and purchase thousands of these books, right? So you really could do a lot with just that. You could accomplish a lot with just that one book. And again, if I meet you halfway, why aren't we talking about some seniors in high school reading this book? Because what?
A senior in high school doesn't have time for that. Let's just be honest.
And a senior in high school could care less. A senior in high school knows that there are straight people, that there are gay people, that there are all different sorts of people, different races, all different kinds of people in this beautiful world that we have, especially in America. That we're a melting pot, right? Ellis Island, we're a melting pot. So these things don't shock us, right? What our friend Sean, and many other of our friends that are gay, it's not a big deal. I served 20 years in the military. Until the don't ask, don't tell, nobody even cared about that kind of stuff, man. We're serving, man. We're trying to stay alive. I've been in war. I know that a lot of people have served that haven't been in war. I've been in war. And I didn't say, wait a minute. Is he?
Right.
Wait a minute. What color? Wait a minute. What nationality? No, I've been in the trenches for real in war, and none of those things matter. And it's really sad that we're at a point now that it's trickled all the way down to the elementary school.
You're right.
And I said this earlier on Facebook. When there are so many national fires, you could very easily forget about the local fires that can actually burn you. And this is a local fire that can burn you. While we're looking at the Epstein list, and while we're looking at Martin Taylor Greene and all these school books for children, they're reading inappropriate books. While we're looking at Donald Trump, school books in North Carolina, our children are reading these books. So we got to take care of the local fires first.
That's so well put.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I just think it's interesting. I go back and think about when I was in high school, and I remember we were reading The Metamorphosis, which was controversial. I mean, it was a truly controversial book. I can't imagine, and it was a kind of book that you talked about, right? I would much rather see young people use reasoning skills. And I know that if my child was in kindergarten and saw that book, she would turn around to me and say, I have a lot of questions that I shouldn't be asked as a parent at that age.
Not yet. And it's okay to wait. And I'm talking about everything. It's okay to wait. I remember, and we're talking about like young people, hey, wait until marriage, to get involved physically and all those things, because of all the different things that can happen to you, when you start too early and, all those different things, right? It's okay to wait. Why is there such a rush to put all these things in a young child's mind? Let the child grow, let the brain form, let a child be a child and not have to pay bills. We don't want a 5-year-old having a mortgage, right? That mortgage stress, whoo, hey.
It is. It's a real deal.
It's real deal. So we don't need our children to have all the life stressors that they're going to have when they become an adult. So why can't we let children be children? And I'm a names type person. I hate saying they, right? So I think it's tomorrow morning, 8:00, right? I think I'm going to be there tomorrow, right? I want to know names. Who wrote the book? Who purchased the book?
Yeah.
Which school? Which class? Give me all the specifics, because if you're bold enough to order the book, to write the book, to pass out, to disseminate the book, you should be bold enough to stand publicly, and we all know who you are. Because I publicly stand firm on everything that I believe. I'm not secretly a protector of children and women and the nation. I don't do that in private. I do it publicly, and I just think we should always know, because I hate when they say they're trying to block this. No, give me some names. So I hope tomorrow that some things can be revealed, some layers of the onion can be peeled back, and we can get some names, because I think we should reach out to those individuals and tell them we're not satisfied with your choice of books, and respectfully, we would like for you to remove that book. Because I work with an organization, and we petition legislators all the time on the Pavement Education Project. And when I'm in the hallways of the legislature, I've talked to all different kind of people. I've met trans people. I've met all different kind of people, right? And it's funny, when we're talking and we have the actual book in hand, they'll say that book shouldn't be in elementary school.
Yep, every time.
We're saying the same thing, but when they go on the floor, they pick the side. Now they're liberal and they're with the side, and they're saying they're trying to remove Black history. No. We have the book right here. We're talking about this book. We're not talking about the story of Martin Luther King, his life story. We're talking about this book with these inappropriate images. Like, let's be specific. Let's call out names. Let's get away from this they type of stuff.
I'm going to say that this is a Black history book that's been removed. I kid you not.
That's where I'm going.
Oh, I know. Well, look, I'm gonna give you some names, because here's what we've got. We've got the Chapel Hill School Board stone cold busted on video saying they're going to break the law. So I'm gonna put it up so everybody can see it, and this is why they're going into the hearing tomorrow in front of an oversight.
My recommendation is that we not comply with the law, and that we say so cleanly. When it comes to these two parts about the pronoun passage and the identity gender discussion, and we develop some.
Okay, so there it is right there. He said, I'm the chair of the Chapel Hill School Board. He'll be there tomorrow, because I like to see things in person, and as probably the world knows now, I like to use my damn camera to take pictures of stuff. So I like to get into it, and I like to post things.
Is it 8 a.m. tomorrow? Is it 8 or something like that?
Yeah, it's probably 9 o'clock.
I think it's 9 o'clock, actually.
Look, the two of us will be there, because this guy is going to have to stand up and say, I said it, or I didn't mean it. First of all, I want to hear what he says. I said I was going to break state law, and I still want you to fund 73% of the budget for my school, because I'd like to see how that works out. And Republicans, you better
stand strong.
Yeah, you better gird your loins and stand strong, because in no way are we going to consent to giving our taxpayer dollars to seeing something of gay Black Santa and a guy. This isn't going to break the law. But here's what Brendan Jones says, because we're getting national attention now, and it's weekly, actually. So here's what the majority leader
Or some of the other books that kids have access to. Two Dads, a book about adoption. Two Moms, and a menagerie. When Aiden became a big brother, which is about a little girl transitioning to be a boy. And last week, Tonight with John Oliver presents A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo, a book about a boy bunny who falls in love with another boy bunny and lives with his vice president grandpa, Mike Pence. What is going on here? Why is the education world there in your state allowing these types of books to be used in schools?
Well, it's not, and they're going to abide by the law. And let's just call this what this is. This is a full-blown indoctrination and grooming campaign by the Chapel Hill Carville School.
Go.
They're deliberately and openly violating SB 49, which is law, and they are daring the state to do something about it. The good thing is we're going to do something about it.
Okay, and I am here for it. I'm here for it, baby.
Let kids be kids.
Yes.
They're going to grow up and see this beautiful world of diversity, organic diversity that we have. It's going to happen. They're going to be introduced to all different lifestyles, different races, and different things that they could grow an affinity toward, or something that they feel inside as an adult. But as a small child in my daughter's first grade class, I don't need this in my daughter's first grade class. And so we have enough questions already with just the normal.
They don't need any Eric Stevenson up in the schools either.
No.
Well, let's talk about that. Any Eric Stevenson? What are you running for, Eric? And how's that going?
Things are going well, as everyone knows. That's has their ear to the ground. Filing season is upon us, and we filed to run for Harnett County Commissioner, and District 2 is where I live at. And the seat, I found out back in July that the seat was being vacated from the current county commissioner, and I really felt strongly in my heart that is a great opportunity to serve politically. So I raised my hand back in July, and I started, talking to a lot of different people and letting everybody know, hey, I'm excited to be running for Harnett County, commissioner. And now that we're in the filing season, someone else has filed as well, so I'll have a primary challenger, but
the Republican.
Yes, Republican.
Well, let's go get him. We're gonna go get him.
Hey, but I've been doing the work. It's okay to put your name on a ballot, and I've been a first-time candidate that no one knew of. But in real life, I had things in place that I had done, just people weren't aware of who I was. But inside of our Harnett County, I've been doing the work. I'm the finance chair for Harnett County GOP. And we literally just had a very, very successful fundraiser recently, a barbecue fundraiser recently. And we're having a lot of motion. There's new excitement in Harnett County. The tent is becoming enlarged. Like I said, organically, the tent is growing and people are energized, for the upcoming midterm elections, because recently I gave remarks at our Board of Elections meeting. There was a motion to increase the number of early voting sites from 4 to 7. And I had already done my research, and had already talked to the Democrats that recruit poll workers, and I had talked to our Republicans that recruit poll workers. And it's well known that we don't have the qualified poll workers, and we don't have the volunteer pool to have safe and fair elections. And they were trying to go to 7. And this is a Republican-led board now, so it doesn't matter who's leading the board. Right is right and wrong is wrong. So I went to the podium and I laid out my remarks and my facts and said, hey, I don't recommend us moving to 7 sites at this time based on what I just mentioned. And guess what? It got knocked down, and we're only going to have the 3 early voting sites.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Well, there's no point in doing that. So keeping the elections fair, you've done this for a long time. I remember when you were in a field of 13, maybe 16 in District 13 for Congress, your first run, you were a novice, you were a neophyte. You didn't, pardon me, but you didn't know what the hell you were doing, babe. I remember that. You were so cute though. And you really impressed. You were in a field. This is, for Congress, Brad Knott eventually won that. But what I loved about you is, and you've always said this, is that I knew I wanted to help. I knew I wanted to serve. I saw this seat was open and I just went for it. But what you've done is throughout the way, you really threw yourself in, but you've learned and you've impressed people. I know that the congressional district chair, he just thinks the world of you, and you've been a huge asset. And literally every time I've gone down to the General Assembly, you're there. You go on your own dime, you go on your own time, and you're walking the walk. You're in there consistently talking about the books that we just put up. That's basically your full-time non-paid job in addition to what you're doing. So I appreciate that. And I'm gonna say something Margot told me, right? Margot told me, she said, Eric, I love you. You ain't gonna win. Running for Congress. And she said that.
Let's forget that.
But she told me that, but she was the third person that had told me that, from someone that I met in the political circle that said, Eric, I don't want you to disappear after this race. So I want you to hear this. And it's like, I want you to hear this. I don't want you to disappear. We need you. And it makes sense now, because that was 2 years ago. And I have only increased my activity. I have only increased the number of meetings I've gone to locally,
your visibility,
and at the state level. And I wasn't doing it to run again. I've been doing this because I feel obligated. I have 2 young daughters. I have a wife of 20 years, and I just don't feel right sitting on my hands and being idle and allowing the small fires, the local fires, to burn, and me just sitting here in my comfortable little neighborhood and drive around in my little cars and stuff. I just don't feel comfortable doing it. And I feel like I have to fight in some capacity. And I'm just looking forward to.
We love you for fighting. We love you.
By the way, everybody disappeared except for you and Brad Knott, who's up in DC now. That whole field. Now, Fred Von Cannon is active, I will say.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say that. I see Fred out and about.
One of them turned into a raging anti-Semite.
But
so yeah. Let's not give him any shine.
Isn't Josh McCluskey, whatever his name is.
Josh McConkey is running for lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
And he's been going around. I've seen him in a lot of different places. And he's a very positive person. You know, he's a military guy like me. But yeah, he's going to be running for lieutenant governor, and he's off and running mighty early. You know, I guess.
Well, I like that because I don't like people waiting until a month before the deadline to say, hey, I'm running. No offense, but you know, we've learned a lot of lessons since then because it takes money. Unfortunately, it takes time to money up and get your finances straight before you run. So doing it that way is appropriate. I like it.
We need a new lieutenant governor.
We do.
We sure do.
And governor. And
we definitely need a new lieutenant governor.
Governor.
We do. We had a good one before.
We had a great
one. It would be great to have another lieutenant governor because guess what? It might get to the point where you know how you need that swing vote from the lieutenant governor.
You sure need leadership, and you don't need.
You understand? What if we get back to that time?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, man.
Well, we've enjoyed having you on. It is our deadline. Like we could keep you on for a long time, actually, because we have so much to talk about. But look at my Twitter feed. Look at Eric's tomorrow because we're going to send you a picture of us in this hearing. I can't wait to hear what this guy says. I mean, he's caught dead to rights. So what's he going to do?
Lie, like they always do.
We'll see.
Like a rug.
Tomorrow, but Republicans, you better stand strong because we'll be watching you and we'll be talking about all of you on Thursday night.
Can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
Good seeing you, Eric. Always good to see you.
Always.
Bye.
Bye.
That's a wrap on today's NC Political Tea. We hope you're leaving sharper, spicier, and ready to take on the political craziness in the Tar Heel State. If you loved what you heard, or even if it made you mad, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this show with your friends, family, and that one coworker who just needs the truth. Follow us on social media to stay in the loop and get your daily dose of conservative fire. And remember, here in North Carolina, the grassroots grows stronger when we stand together. Until next time, keep the faith, keep up the fight, and don't let the left water down your tea. This is NC Political Tea, where we spill it like it is.